Morning, guys. It's Instructor Shane. I had a student contact me the other day asking me about my morning processes and kind of morning routine as it's applicable to me being a self-defender. So I kind of wanted to share some of those things with you. Now, when we talk about dry fire practice, I kind of make a Y in the road, and some of my dry fire practice is based on exploration and exploring and figuring things out to take me to that next level of being a shooter. Some of my dry fire practices is just part of my morning routine to just get into good habits of the day, right? I found that as I do my morning routine, before I leave the house with a gun on my person, one, it puts me mentally in a better place as a self-defender. Plus, I've done some work on the tools that I'm carrying that day. So, Force Science Institute did a really great study, and they found that a lot of what's applicable in a self-defense encounter is what techniques and practice have you put in the last 72 hours, right? So typically we don't want to go over 72 hours leaving the house with a firearm on us without doing any kind of dry fire practice. So typically what my morning routine consists of is one, choosing, hey, what's the right firearm for what I'm doing at this time? What does my day look like? Things of that nature. And then tools I carry, flashlights, pepper spray. If you guys watched my video talking about lights and thought processes, some of you now know my pepper spray changes sides depending on the gun. Does it have a light? Does it not have a light? And kind of some conceptual bases on that. So as we get into this, the first consideration is, hey, what kind of firearm am I carrying today? Today I'm carrying my Glock 19 with a TLR-7. Before we do any dry fire practice, we want to ensure we insert a barrel block into that barrel to ensure no ammunition can get into that chamber of that firearm to make sure we're completely safe in what we're doing. So once I've kind of confirmed that, my first kind of go-to is just getting my hand on the gun. Anyone that's trained with me before, as we do different drills on the range, you realize half of your draw stroke is just clearing a garment and getting your hand on the gun, okay? So typically what I'm doing is just drawing and getting my hand on my gun, and see right there, I totally missed my garment, right? Okay? Clear that garment, get your hand on the gun, okay? Get it properly on the gun. So when I talk about that gas pedal, brake pedal kind of mentality in the way I teach, make sure you're hitting that gas pedal enough to make it performance-based. But at the same time, if I'm hitting that gas pedal so hard, I'm getting a fubby grip, anything like that, you need to pump those brakes to make sure we're getting proper manipulations, okay? So I'll go through about 10 of those, getting a proper grip on the gun, and then I go into my dry fire practice. Now, on phone apps, things like that, there's a bunch of free shot timer apps. For me, I use Gun Shot Timer. Pretty simple, it's free, and it just kind of keeps it based in some kind of quantitative standard, right? So for today, I set a par time of 1.5 seconds. So timer goes off, I have 1.5 seconds to get the gun on target and do what I need to do. Now, this isn't any kind of trying to add speed. That's my other dry fire practice. This is just me going through my processes and making sure I am doing things correctly. I'm getting that perfect grip. I'm getting my sights right where I want them on target, okay? It's not trying to go so fast, I'm adding speed, I'm getting a bad grip, I'm having bad manipulations, okay? So I'll run through a couple. I got my dry fire target right there, and just see what we got. I liked it. Go again. Tad bit low. Tad bit low for what I like. So I'll run through about 10 of those and just kind of set a pace of I'm getting everything right. Everything's working today. You know, fingers are working, guns working, all that different thing. So once I've done 10, get my hand on the guns, 10 freaking get my gun on target, press trigger. Usually what I like to do is incorporate about 5 draw to the low readies, okay? So from here, I'm looking at an imaginary place on my fireplace and just drawing and getting my gun out, but not on target. We do not want to set ourselves up to be conditioned of every time I draw the gun, I fire the gun. Okay? Now, you'll notice the first one I did, I actually had my finger on the trigger because I meant to have my finger on the trigger. Sometimes we want to be able to keep that finger off. That way we're not creating those bad neural pathways of doing something automatically. And sometimes I'll put my finger on. That way I'm getting in a process of I know what I'm doing and I'm not just doing something out of repetition. So once I've done a couple of those, then I'll start working tools, right? So it being daylight, I have a firearms mounted light on my gun. I'm probably not gonna do anything with my actual carry light, okay? Now, if I was leaving the house and I was carrying one of my firearms that doesn't have a firearms mounted light, then I would add in working flashlight technique into my morning routine. So because it's daylight, I got my TLR7. I'll be home before it gets dark. I'm just gonna sit here and work on some draw stroke practices with my actual pepper spray. Just like any tool we carry, we have to make sure that we work all our tools, not just the firearm, okay? So I'll give myself about 10 of these, right? Sometimes will be from a surrendered position. Sometimes I'll just slowly kind of work it out in my hand and then come to like a postured position with it, okay? So I'll do about 10 of those. And really just kind of get my mind focused on what tools do I have on me, where are they, and it'll put me in a better mindset for being a self-defender as I start my day. Like always, guys, I hope you have a great